Hello and welcome back to my channel, ShyWizard. I'm going to continue here in part 3 of the grain dryer fabric script, or no, this is mCompany script mod. So created or took the fans from the prefab, added a different shaded so they actually rotate and whatever else. So now I'm just going to apply these to the building again, but with the actual rotation all set up now with that shader. So I want to put these in a specific place because I only want these to run when the unit is working. I don't want to be rotating all the time. So with the mCompany or fabric script set up, we have this in work animation, we have this transform group called shader, and the script will look at that and then activate anything to do with the shader once the unit is up and running. So we want to put them within that particular transform group there. So I'm going to go File, Import, and then I'll just bring in the smaller fan here. So I'm going to Control X, Shader, Control V, and then obviously I need to place that in the appropriate area. So we'll just come into here somewhere, and I'll use the interactive Control B, and then click somewhere like that, and then just push it back a little bit until it gets into the right area. Something like that will be fine. Now, because obviously these ones are going to be running all of the same speed, I'm just going to make duplicates of this particular fan. If you wanted them to be running at different speeds, you would have to adjust the other i3D first. So you'd have to open this one up, change the shader variation speed, and then import it again each time, because anything that shares the same mesh setup, if I make a duplication of this one and then change the variation speed, it will change the variation speed for all of them. So you need to make your adjustments in a separate i3D and then re-import it again each time. But I'm okay with them all rotating at the same speed on the smaller fans here, that's fine. So I'm just going to make a duplication of these, so I'll just do like so, and then move this one up into the appropriate position. Something like that will be fine. Again, for this I'm not going to be 100% precise, just giving you the idea of what can be done here, and then you can make it much better than I am. So I'll make another one, Control D, and make a duplication, and then just bring that up. Whoops. So we'll just bring that up into somewhere like that, and then I'll do Control D again, make a duplication, and again, and just keep doing that until you've got all of the correct amount of fans that you want to put in there. You might only want one or two of them rotating, so potentially you could just delete the shader from one of the fan setups, so only like every other one only rotates or whatever. There's various different ways you can do this, but again you would need to do that as a separate i3D, because if I delete the shader from one, it's going to delete it from all of them. So just be a bit careful there. So we'll do that one, make another duplication, and then bring that one up to there like so. Something like that. So now I have all of these fans rotating in a clockwise direction. Perfect. So that would be drawing the air into the actual dryer, and then this one over here is going to be rotating anti-clockwise for the exhaust to draw the air, the dust particles out from the unit. So I can bring in the large fan, so we'll go File, Import, Fan Big, Control X, Shader, Control V, and as you can see this one is now rotating in the opposite direction. So I'll put that into the appropriate place. I want to get it somewhat central so it doesn't, it's not clipping into anything or whatever. Something like that looks okay. So now we have these ones rotating clockwise at speed 3 or whatever I set that one to, and then this one rotating anti-clockwise speed 1. So that looks pretty good. I'm okay with that. And then this is going to have a mesh, I think, over it anyway. once I get it from the original setup. So yeah, what's next? Let's think. Okay, so what we have to do then is, so that the actual script and everything knows what we want to make work when the unit is activated, when it comes to shaders, we need to add some user attributes, because at the moment these things have just got a shader applied to it, but it's not going to know what we want to do with it. So if I close down the material editing window, I'll open up the user attributes. We need to give it a few new user attributes. If I actually open up the mesh rotate shader script, you can see in here we have some variations in here to do with parameter name, the actual name of the parameter we're going to apply to it, which is rotation speed, and then we also have a value as well here and some other parts. So what we need to do is basically take some information from here to do with this name here, and then obviously change some parts there, and it gives you a lot of information here because, like I said before, you've got rotation speed X, Y, Z, but this is the actual axes that it's going to rotate on, so you can identify which one you need to look at there. And then obviously rotation speed here on the W axis is the speed itself. So there are a lot of times when you look at these shaders and scripts and things like that, it will actually give you information within it, within the script or the shader, to tell you how to set it up. But sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to understand if you're not really sure on what all of this means. And I certainly don't know all of it. I don't know some parts in here I look at and I go, what? But you can read through all of this, and it potentially will give you an idea of how all the parts join together if you want to know. But so we need to basically set up some parts to do with that. So I'll leave that open for now, so I can just go back to that. So on the actual transform group here itself, we need to identify what part is going to be what object is going to actually have the shader settings applied to it, which is our fan here. So in the transform group, we need to type in shader object index, and that needs to be spelt a specific way, so it's got a K instead of a C. So just depending on what language you speak, just make sure that you type in the same spelling there, otherwise it won't work properly. And then this needs to be a string, so we can add that in. And the actual index, if we click on the fan, we can see here that the index is the last number in the index path, which is 0. So I can just type in there 0 and tab and lock that in. If we then go to the fan itself, I need to type in there the parameter name. So you can come to the shader if you want to, and then take the parts from here to do with the actual parameter name itself. So if I type in there parameter name, again that needs to be spelt a specific way with the uppercase letters in the right places and all that sort of stuff. This is also a string. So come back to the shader here, and I'll take a copy of the actual the name itself from there that it's going to look for, and I can then paste that in and hit tab. And I also need shared, which is going to be a boolean. Leave that unticked, but it needs to be there for the shader to know what you want it to do. And then the next one is value, so type that in, and then that is also a string. And then in here 0 space 1 space 0 space 0, and then hit tab and lock that in. And you need to do that for all of these. So potentially it might be easier to do one and then make your duplications. Because I've made the duplications as I've gone along, I will now have to apply all of those attributes to all of these as well. So potentially I would delete all of those and then make duplications again. But you get the idea, hopefully. So I'm going to pause here, and I'll just do all of those ones, and then we'll come back once I've got that sorted out. Okay, so I've just done the last one there for the large or the big fan, fan big, whatever. So I've put all the user attributes there, set all that up. So they should all now be doing their thing once the actual unit is working, as in I put grain in, it then kicks into gear and they start to do whatever they do and all the rest of it. So that's fine. I guess the next thing then is to work with some particle systems, because like I said before, I want to have some kind of dust effect coming out of here for the grain dust or whatever else. So for this I'm going to need a new particle system, and then obviously link all the i3Ds and whatever else into there. So for this I'm going to go ahead and save this one down, save this one, and then shut that one down. I can close all of this down now as well, I don't need any of that. And then what I will do is, for this I'm going to go into the Farming Simulator installation folder. So mine's obviously in Steam, so we come into here, go into FS17, and then Data, Particle Systems. And if we look in here, we have this particle material holder. So if I open this one up in Giants Editor, now word of warning, when you work with anything to do with the Farming Simulator 17 installation data, don't save your Giants Editor session. If I move around and then go to close this, it's going to ask me, do I want to save? Always click no, because if you click yes, potentially it will break your game. You won't be able to access multiplayer servers with your game, because your positioning of the camera and everything, the settings won't match everybody else's, and the multiplayer server will automatically kick you out. Well, potentially kick you out. So just be careful of that. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the wheat particles here, the emitter itself, and then export that out so that I can use that as my kind of dust particles. So I just want the actual emitter itself, I don't need anything else. So if I will take the name from there, that's fine. So if I actually make a copy of that name, I'm going to go File, Export Selection with Files. Again, I'm going to put this in a separate folder for now, and then work with it that way. And then if it all goes wrong, I can always delete it and start again. I'm going to click no for the parent directory structure, because it's from the Farming Simulator installation. It a lot of the shaders and things like that are in various different folders and whatever else. So if you click yes, do you want to keep the parent directory structure? Yes. What it will do is it will link everything back to this folder, and I don't want that. So obviously I want everything in its own entity, so to speak, and all the rest of it. So now if I open this one up, we should now have a smoke kind of dust particle system there, like so. Fantastic. So that's good, that's what I want. And I can go ahead and delete these because I don't actually need those material holder parts, because this is just going to be a linked particle system through a user attribute. Okay, so now that I know that that's all working and everything else, I'll go ahead and save that, that's fine. And then I'll close that one down. So I want to put that in a particular folder. So if I go back to the grain dry here, again, it's up to you how you put this together, but I'm going to create a new folder, just call this PS. You've probably seen that if you've looked at any other kind of fabric script, mCompany scripted mod with particle systems or whatever else. I like to keep the same kind of structure, so we'll basically put all of that in there. So if I take those and copy all of that over to there, and I'm going to take the shader and put that into my shaders folder, like so. And this has no other linking parts within the shader itself. It's not looking for any other textures or whatever else, so that's good. And all I would do here is just open this up and then just // so it knows it needs to go back one folder to get to that shader, We can always open it up again just to make sure that we have no errors in the console and everything is working perfectly fine there. Perfect, so that's good. So I'll close that one down, and then what I can do is go back into the dryer itself. So the fans I've all done, so I can get rid of those, so we'll delete those. Open up the dryer again, and what I want to do is have the particles coming out of this area. So to get the angle and the direction and everything else set up correctly, what I would probably say the best way to do it is to import the actual emitter itself, the actual i3D. So if I go back to my desktop here, make sure I'm in the right folder for a start. We're going to there, PS, we'll bring this in, and I'm actually going to cut it and then put it into the PS transform group just in case there's any changes in attributes or whatever else. And then what I need to do is actually put this in the right direction, so it's going to give me the right effect. So let's move this up so it's going out that way. So I need to rotate that by -90 and then basically put that somewhere in the right place over here. Something like that will do. So we have a kind of dust particle system coming out of the fan blower system there, but you can't just leave that like it is because it won't again know what you want it to do. So we have to link it to the i3D for the actual particle system itself. So again, what I'm going to do is make a new user attribute, but I'm not going to apply it to this actual smoke emitter. I'm going to apply it to a separate transform group. So I'm going to create a new transform group, Control X to cut it, PS, and then Control V to paste that into there, and call this whatever you want to call it. I'll call it dust. There we go. And we'll tab, and then what I need to do is match the attributes of the actual particle system to this new transform group. So if I put my cursor in here and click Translate X, left shift left control and C, and then click on my new transform group, left shift left control V to put all of those parts into there. But I also need to rotate it by -90 on the Y axis, so I can take that one and put that into there like so. So now when you look at it, the actual gizmo is in exactly the same place as the smoke emitter I've imported into the Giants editor session here. It matches perfectly all of the rotation and everything else like so. And then what we do is we just delete the smoke emitter itself and then create the new user attribute to point it to this i3D. So it will load that i3D in when the mod is actually up and running and the script requests it. So in here we need to actually put in particle system file name, and this needs to be a string, so we'll add that particle system file name, make sure we spelled it correctly, and then in here we actually put the path file name of the where it's located. So it's going to be PS and then smoke emitter. So if I actually take a copy of that, so PS, make sure you put the uppercase or lowercase where it's appropriate, / and then we can paste in the actual name of the i3D. And it's very important that you actually put .i3D on the end of it, because if you don't put the actual extension name of what it is, whether it be an XML or an i3D or whatever else, obviously in this case it's an i3D, if we don't add that, it won't know what it's looking for. So we need to make sure we put the i3D on the end of it and then tab and lock that in. So now when this unit kicks into gear and it all starts up and runs, not only will my fans start rotating, this particle system will be called upon, and then we'll get that i3D linked in and it will start putting out the dust particles. And again, we can do the same if we wanted to for the chimney or whatever else you want to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with this one for now. That's fine. Hopefully you get the idea of how that works and you can make your changes however you see fit. So that's fine. Again, when it comes to sounds and whatever else, we can apply those as we want to. So this particular unit, I believe on the silo trigger itself, it has a file name, or fill sound file name I should say, which is sounds mower work wav. And this was from the Seedmaster mod. So if I go ahead and save the changes I've done there, what we need to do then is find where that is in the actual Seedmaster placeable, and then just bring that over. So again, just to keep everything structured, I'm going to make a new folder here and then just call this sounds, and then I'll have a look in here and I'll just take the mower wav one and bring that in like so. Now obviously this has some other parts in here, some other sounds, so you could potentially apply those if you want to. I have no idea what that sounds like. I'm not going to play it because it will be extremely loud, I would imagine, so but you can mess about with those if you want to and see where you end up. Again, I'm not going to do that, but well, I might do one. Let's do one, shall we? So if I actually take let's do the fan 2. So we'll make a copy of that one as well, just so I can show you how to set that up if you wanted to do it. So if we go into the grain dryer again here, and let's say we want to make a sound file for these fans or whatever else. Like I said, I have no idea what that sound is, but we'll figure that out later on. So we come back into work animations, and we want to put it under the sound transform group within the work animations, so the sound file only plays when the unit is running, not continuously. So to add a sound file in, we go create audio source, which is then going to automatically open up our search window, and we go to our sounds file folder, double click on our WAV file, which is going to create a new audio source down here. On the bottom of the scene graph or scene graph, Control X, click on the sound transform group, Control V to paste it in. And then what you need to do is just basically move the gizmo wherever you want the sound file to be, and that might be a little bit of experimentation there, depending, you know, on the position of the sound that you want it to be. You might need to go into game, see what it sounds like, and adjust things accordingly. Now, I don't particularly like, you know, sometimes you'll get a mod and the sound is so loud that literally as soon as you get close to it, it drowns out everything else. You can't even hear your tractor over it. So I tend to always just come over to my attributes window here and then decrease the sound volume to 0.8. I might also change my inner and outer range. So the range here is if you're outside of a vehicle, so I might put that down to 80, and then maybe put the inner range down to 20. So inside a vehicle it's 20 meters, I think that is, and then outside of a vehicle is 80 meters. I'm sure that's meters, but I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments if that is incorrect. But I tend to go with those settings and they work quite well for me. So I'm going to go with that anyway. So that's basically how you do that. You just bring in a sound, import it into here by creating a new audio source, and then positioning where you want it to be. Now obviously for this particular mod setup, I want it to only activate when the unit is running, so I apply it to the work animations sound transform group, and then the script will tell it to only run that sound file when the unit is working. Okay, so go ahead and save that again then. So what I want to do, I guess, is to go back to the original one here, because there's a couple of other parts that we want to bring out and apply to the mod itself. And obviously you don't have to do this, but we've got this grid here which is over the front of the fans here, so might apply that. And we also have this decal set up for various different areas, so again you might want to do that to give it some, you know, rust features and whatever else. Up to you entirely. I'm going to just bring them out. So what I'll do is I'll actually highlight both of those and bring them out together. So I'm going to just go File, Export Selection with Files, and I'll just put it in here for now, that's fine. So I'll just basically put in here, let's do add-ons, that's fine, and I'll save and keep the parent directory structure, close that down, don't need to save that, get rid of that, and then we have all of those parts. Because I knew that the this one was sharing the same folder structure, I was comfortable to just export it directly into this folder. But most of the time I put it into a separate folder and then work with it separately and then bring it into my mod once I'm comfortable it all looks good and works okay and whatever else. But for this, that's fine. So we could open up the grain dryer again here and we'll import those. So go File, Import, make sure you're in the right folder, Add-ons, and then we want to highlight both of those, Control X, and then come down to our Viz transform group, Control V. So the grid here, I'll position that in the appropriate place. The decals might be a little bit trickier because obviously I've shifted the position of the grain dryer for this setup. It won't automatically find the correct attributes, so I have to position stuff for myself, but that's okay, not a problem. So we might need to go back a little bit further to get that where I want it. There we go, something like that maybe. Well, anywhere there will do, I guess. Something like that. Yeah, that looks okay. It's not clipping through on the outside or anything, and it's not interfering with the fans or the fan inside, so I'm okay with that. So the decals obviously are going to be a bit trickier because of the positioning of them, but we'll just move them somewhere roughly right. Something like that maybe will be okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll do for that anyway. So yeah, you just position them better than I have, but that'll be okay for this. Again, you don't need to bring them in if you don't want to, but keep into the original design of this prefab. I wanted to put them there, so that's fine. And then that's all good. So we've now put all those parts together, and we have a mod built up with all of the triggers and particle systems and whatever else in all the appropriate places. So theoretically now all of that should be where it needs to be. So I'm going to end it on this one, and then we'll have a look at the mod desk and how to actually set all that up and join all the parts together in the next video, and then hopefully at some point either in that one or the next one after that, I'm not sure yet, see how far we get, it'll be importing it into a map, and then obviously making the appropriate changes and then getting into game and testing it hopefully in the next video. So I'm ShyWizard, thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.